Okay. This is gonna be a demonstration for just a couple more helpful tips and tricks with using the Sharpie pens to draw and finish your aerial cityscape drawings. Okay. So if it's easier for you to do, because originally when I was working on this building right here in the middle here, I was kind of drawing and outlining things as I was going along, but if you wanted to though, kind of go on the autopilot though, I'm totally fine if you want to use like the fine tip Sharpie pen and then just outline all of the drawing because obviously you have to use a ruler to trace these individual parts. It does take a really long time to do. So for like days 5 and 6 though, I'm completely fine if you want to just do like just a drawing with just a thin Sharpie pen, and that'd be just like a fine drawing, by itself. Now, if you wanted to take your drawings a little bit further, though, definitely, this is like if you have extra time after you've outlined everything. Now, I might actually give you guys more time to actually draw with the pens. You can always go back with it too when we get to the painting. I do think like varying the lines, like what I did with like this one right here, kind of creates more of like a visual interest with your perspective drawing. But I wanted to show you guys like some things to kind of think about when you're kind of varying like the line weights, or if you want to add some details or textures or color in things. Okay, so I'll give you like an example here. So if I'm doing like this building here, I wanted to add some like varying lines. So one thing I could do to kind of create more of a visual interest in my lines is I could make this line a little bit thicker on the closer to the edge of the page, and then kind of have it like thin out a little bit more as it goes towards the center. So something small like this though will kind of create more dynamics in terms of the drawing itself. Just because when it comes to perspective though, your lines are usually going to be thicker when you're closer up to the objects, and then they'll be thinner as it goes out. So something as small as that though will help with the drawing itself. So definitely I would kind of go over like your lines again. So it's kind of like the same thing we did with like your still life drawings. Just kind of varying the line weights as you go along. So that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. So I would just do this kind of like every, all the areas where it's like close to the edge of the page. So something you can do to add to your drawings to make it a little bit more dynamic, visually interesting. And again, take your time with this. It's really easy to kind of rush with the Sharpie, especially in a way where like all the lines are. This kind of makes it a little bit more interesting to look at if you kind of varied the lines a little bit. You really don't have too much variations. It's either using the markers or the fine tip. It'd be nice if we had like some different like what they call like thicknesses in terms of the markers. It's usually when we working like on the computer or something. It's really easy to just kind of change like the size of your brushes. I'm more used to like digital art. This is like we only kind of stuck with like the Sharpie thickness and then the fine tip. Usually, if you buy like micron pens, which is like kind of ideal for like this type of a work, the micron pens always have like different variations on sizes and lengths. With the drawing. Okay, but you can kind of see how it's coming along a little bit better though, varying these lines just slightly. Okay, and then other things you can do too if you want to. This might make it a little bit easier when you do like the painting part. I would actually like to outline the edges of the oops. I don't know what that black part was, but anywhere where I know it's gonna be a sky, I like to usually outline the edges out to kind of make those parts a little bit pop out a little bit more. Plus, it'll make the painting process a little bit easier. So this is just a visual thing that artists like to do. Is they like to create like an emphasis on like certain areas of the drawing. Because I know like I'm gonna plan on painting like this open space here, that little open space there, and then the big open space like in the middle here. So I kind of did a little bit over there, but I'm just gonna like on these edges here to make it pop out more. So I usually like doing this for characters, but you could do this for the building as well. I give it like a really dark outline all around the edges. But just kind of picking and choosing like lines you want to go over again. Definitely will make the drawing more interesting to look at. And, there's kind of set rules and things you can do as an artist to add variety to the lines. So maybe I might want to obviously I can outline the edges all the way around. I could also probably do it for like just these pillars here, because these like really stand out a lot. So you're just picking and choosing as an artist what you want to emphasize or create contrast in your work to create visual interest. So I'm gonna actually continue this line right here all the way. Okay, and I'm just using just the marker at this point. So okay, other things you can do too is if you want to color in some of the windows, completely fine with that. So maybe I might go with like this checker pattern again. So I'll color this window here, this window there. It's up to you how much you want to draw this this picture. And I saw some of you guys do some shading already, so definitely I want you guys to use the markers if you wanted to color in areas of the drawing. All right, and then again, we're gonna be painting as well, so when it comes to the coloring though, you definitely want to paint it too. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. I'm just coloring in areas. I could probably color in some of these windows like a checker pattern. Maybe this section of my drawing I can do like I don't know, like stripes. So maybe like every other. And I can do an outline right here. So you want to create some contrast with like the things that you've drawn. Really take your time. You don't want to mess up your drawing. Okay, but if you have time though, I would do these little extra details. Who knows? Maybe you might like some of these things that you've drawn or added, and then if you wanted to see some other ideas, I definitely would take a look at the finished pieces, because there's some really good examples of like textures or things you can color in or different window patterns. Oh yeah, and also last thing too, use either the big eraser, so just make sure to erase all your lines. Okay, you don't want it to mix in with the graphite. I'm done with most of the drawing, so I can actually go over this with my entire drawing. But there shouldn't be any pencil marks on your paper, because again, we're gonna be painting this, so you don't really want the graphite to mix in with the watercolors, because it might muddy the colors a little bit more. Okay, but just do this at the very end though, where you're just erasing everything though that you need. Alright, should be a nice clean drawing with just the Sharpie pen. Obviously I still need to keep that part of my drawing, because I need to outline that part first. Alright, okay.